Thank you for joining us today on our weekly deep dives.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Cody.
And today we're going to be talking about Western versus traditional, or known as holistic medicine.
Yep. So we are really excited to dive into this topic because Heather and I both do both.
Yeah, we're a firm believer in combining both schools of thought because there's a lot to gain from both sides.
We don't think that one is better than the other. There are certain things that I think, one does better at than the other one. And that is, traditional or holistic medicine, I feel like does a really great job for preventative medicine. If you want to prevent some of the health crises down the road.
Absolutely.
You want to take care of your body. You want to take yourself to the next level of health. I think that is a really great avenue because it's a longer term plan. When you break your leg, sometimes I think the best form of medicine is to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
So that like acute pain, that acute issue, I think someone who is in the Western field is really, really good at that. Doesn't mean that there's not crossover, because definitely,
Right. Do I believe that you need to go get your boobs smashed once a year? Yes, I do. Get the mammogram, okay?
And that's preventative health.
That's preventative health.
And if you're out, hiking in the backwoods and you break your leg, well, knowing how to build a holistic stint and how to, put some herbs on it to prevent it from having infection is actually really helpful. That's holistic or traditional medicine.
So when we combine both of these schools of thought, we get the biggest bang, right? Because then we're not just saying, well, those herbs are hooey.
Oh, that reminds me. Okay, so not to bring up the last few years and the special Rona that we had, but there was a gentleman, and this cracked me up. I died laughing on the inside because he didn't get it. It was in the comments, it was underneath, and it was somebody who was talking about taking vitamins, and he was like, oh, that's hooey. I don't believe in vitamins at all. But if I did get the Rona, then I would take my vitamins, and I was just like, you'll take them afterwards because you want all the help you can get, but you won't take them preventatively because you want all the help you can. I'm confused,
right?
Which is fine. And in my head, yes, of course, there was totally a judging Judy in there, but in my head, I also had grace that they were where they were in the process of that. But it's just like thinking about every little bit can help. So why not take the best of everything and use it to help you. Use it to help your life.
Yeah, and I really believe in being an advocate for your own health.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
You have to advocate for yourself. If we're just going to holistic practitioners and Western doctors and saying, fix me, okay, they're going to try their best. I'm going to tell you what, anybody who signs up for either of those fields, they're going to try their best.
They're going to do their best.
But if you're not tapped into your body and you're not then also willing to do the work that they're telling you it may take. So say you go to the doctor and they're like, you have high blood pressure. We're going to go ahead and give you a pill that's going to help a lot, but we need you to look at your diet and we need you to exercise. And if you say, well, I'm not exercise. I get plenty of exercise. They don't know what they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. Well, that blood pressure pill may bring down your blood pressure to a reasonable level, but they're telling you other healing needs to happen on the inside.
Yep.
And if we're not doing, we're fighting against instead of working with.
Yes.
Really.
And I really want to bring up something that she said, and that is, if we're looking to the outside world to fix us, I'm going to say it's nobody else's responsibility to fix us.
Yep.
For a multitude of reasons. Number one, we may not actually be broken. Ooh, I know that's a really controversial thing to say, but I said it and I don't care. Sorry, not sorry. And the other is, it's not actually other people's job to do anything for us. Oh, I think that was also controversial.
No.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, it's not their job to do anything
No,
for us.
It's our job to take responsibility for our life, our health, our well-being, our mental, emotional state. It doesn't mean that we can't go to people for support, that we can't go to them and say, hey, how can you help me in this situation? Or, hey, how can I bring to you all the things I've been doing and you tell me if there's somewhere I can improve, I can take something out, I can do something better, I can change something, like that's taking ownership of your life and inviting them to be on your healing team, which we talked about in the previous episode. So listen to that one, by the way.
Like on the vitamin subject.
Yes.
If we know in our life we're not getting enough of a certain vitamin.
B12.
Like B12. None of us get,
Nobody.
if you're not taking B12, I'm not a physician or anything, but you might want to look into it on the Google. Okay?
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Same with vitamin D, okay?
Yep.
So, and zinc, and I could go on, okay? But so, do some of your own research, okay? Or work with a naturopath, Chinese medicine doctor, the list goes on. Take that stuff that you learn, you try out, it's working, it's doing something, you're not sure what it's doing, but it's doing something good. Take that to your Western medicine doctors.
And tell them.
And tell them, and please, don't be surprised if they say, oh, I hadn't heard about that before.
Yeah.
They're just human. They have learned a whole lot of knowledge, but it doesn't mean none of us know everything, and it doesn't make them a bad doctor for not knowing.
And it doesn't. And you using both sides of the spectrum is really important. I'll give a current example that I am currently living through in today's age.
Okay.
So for the last 3 months, well, really since 2019, on and off, I've been dealing with vertigo. Consistently, almost every day for the last 3 months, I have been dealing with vertigo. And in the beginning, I immediately did 2 things. 1, I went to go see my doctor. And 2, I got an intuitive health report. So I went to holistic and my doctor. Like I went to both immediately. And I really believe that there is a mental emotional component to everything physical that we have going on in our body. Some people have not awoken to that yet.
Yeah.
Some people don't necessarily believe that. I respect both. I will tell you for the course of my life, it has consistently proven itself to be true over and over and over and over again. So I know that there's a mental and emotional component. My intuitive health analysis helps me understand the mental and emotional that I may not even be conscious of. It also, in that analysis, gives me some of the massage techniques or energy techniques or nutritional components that I can try. Now, they're not giving, doctoral advice, but they're saying this may help. This may help,
Yeah.
Having nettle tea leaves may help. And so when I go and do all of that, and I go then to my doctor and I say, I know that these are the components. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm already taking. What are your thoughts? And they give me their thoughts and they give me their feedback. And I take I take the meclizine, which helps with vertigo. And it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't fully. Then I go and explore other things. And so in the process of it, she started a low histamine diet. I decided, well, maybe I'll try it and see if it helps me because some of the same symptoms I was having. So I started on the low histamine diet. Within 5 days, my vertigo was gone. It was the only thing that ever completely took it away. And so I told her about it and she was like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of that. Wow, that's so cool. And so we can then help foster and teach each other in the process while I'm also still getting my acupuncture for my nervous system, working on my mental emotional connection to balance, which is what it kind of related to on the other side. And so we want you to understand that it's both.
Yeah, and there's a big thing with, I know that a lot of people who really, really prefer holistic medicine, to a lot of degrees, I do too. I'm not the craziest about big pharma, but at the same time, I'm really thankful for stuff like penicillin. I'm really thankful for stuff that has helped me in some dire crises in my life with my physical body that saved me.
Absolutely.
That's outside of the holistic realm. And one thing that I look at is if you're struggling with big pharma decisions, a doctor wants to put you on a med, you're not sure about it, whatever, do some research from medical journals, please. Other scientists who've looked at this and whatever. Be careful online with your information. It can come from a lot of places.
It can.
But also, go into your gut. Drop into your own body and make your own choice. Your ego, your brain might be saying, I don't want this high blood pressure medicine. I just don't want it. And so you may say that in your ego, it might be bad for us or it might cause a bad reaction or whatever else. if you're dropping into your gut might go, man, I'm just really sad. I might have to be on a pill for a couple of years. I'm sad about decisions I made or my hereditary heart condition from my parents and on down my ancestral line that I have to be on blood pressure medicine.
But really, my gut is saying I need
Take
this.
the blood pressure medicine. So it's that invitation to drop into the gut. Your gut may also say, we would really like to look at another approach than doing X, Y, and Z medications or treatments. We would like to go look at a holistic approach too, along with our Western doctor.
And it's okay to do both. It's okay
Yeah.
to say yes to the medicine while you also continue to do the research, seek out the professionals that work with, what you have going on in a holistic way. And that's kind of, that's where I am right now. Like I am taking my medicine and waiting for my ENT doctor to look at the next level. My low histamine diet seems to have had a great impact, but I ate out of the low histamine diet and immediately came back. So that taught me a lot. That was actually hugely beneficial. So the idea, though, is you can still do both. You don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater on either side. There is benefits to both of them. And that's what we want to encourage you and invite you into.
Yeah, that we can see both sides and advocate for our own health. That we can do some of our own research. And why I said earlier, what do you have?
Go.
Why I said earlier to be careful what you find online is that the internet is the internet, guys. It's going to have, every bit of Tom, Dick, and Harry news that could possibly anybody could ever write. Okay? And any of us can also go down the rabbit hole that is WebMD. Yeah. Okay? And then we think we've got like a parasite from Africa that we've never been there.
Everything bad is going to happen to me ever.
Oh my gosh. So just make sure that when you're doing your research for yourself, that you're looking at holistic journals, that you're looking at scientific journals, you're looking at schools of thought where other people have really looked into those medicine practices as well.
Absolutely.
What did you have?
And what I also really want to bring to your forefront is sometimes it's not just all one or the other.
Right.
So my whole 15 years of practice. So I have been a massage therapist. I've been a licensed massage therapist for about 7 years. I've been a practicing massage therapist for about 15 years. And I should say licensed in the state of Missouri. I did have license in Kansas and other places. But I've been a practicing massage therapist for over 15 years. Of those 15 years, the first part was a lot of just physical, working on the physical body. But as I started to notice, even just a few years in, a lot of this physical is also mental, emotional. And I was taught a lot in my original schooling that there was a mental and emotional component to what we had going on in our body. And think about it, stress, how we handle the challenges of life can actually manifest themselves in tight shoulders and headaches and migraines and all, heart conditions and digestive stuff. It can all manifest physically. So really, then I started to explore all the different aspects of that. And then I became a life coach. And I've been a life coach now for a few years. And I went completely into the mental emotional. I also studied at the School of Metaphysics for 3 years, taught there. And it was all about the mental. It was all about the mind. And it was all about how your mind can control your body. And there's something really great about that, fantastic, but it's not just all head either. Because sometimes that can feel like, I can just think my way towards a new future, which to some degree is true, but there still has to be action steps taken. And when you combine the two, your progression into healing is that much quicker. Where your physical healing, may take 6 months, or just mental healing may take 6 years. Doing both will take you, 6 days. I'm just kidding. But you see what I'm saying here, right?
Yeah.
And so we really need to be willing to say, what else is going on here? Yes, maybe I, have tight neck and shoulders, and maybe it's from the way that I'm working at the computer, or it could also be the way that I just came out of the 2 years in this crazy world that has put a lot of pressure on all of us, especially if we're trying to work from home, and that maybe I need some help and support on how to manage my stress differently. Maybe I need to check out a meditation course or do a mindfulness practice or read a book that's about, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. There's all these different things that we can look at and say, well, maybe it's not just physical and it's not just about my physical. And then on the other side, I've been doing a lot of research and understanding and educating myself on, and have for the last several years, on the trauma response in the body. The trauma response shows up in the limbic part of the brain. The limbic part of the brain directly controls the body. So actually, when you go to heal some of the mental and emotional stuff related to trauma, the best way to do it is through the body. So something that used to be purely mental, a therapist working through the thoughts, the pattern, the story, the whatever, is now starting to prove the research show that the body is as essential in the healing process as the mental work.
Absolutely. I mean, look at drug and alcohol recovery. If any of you are like me and you've come off of drugs or alcohol, you often in recovery groups, we talk about like what helps with the cravings when you're first green and new in recovery, and things like candy, sugar. Some people smoke cigarettes. There's a bunch of different things. Coffee's huge, right? So there's some of these things, and we're not saying in recovery to like substitute them, but what that is it's bringing it into the body.
Yes.
So whereas alcohol may have made us fall down at places and make really poor decisions
and make us leave the body.
Character. Yeah. And leave the body. It has physical ramifications in the body. So a lot of things, most everything is going to affect all of those things. Because if we're heavy drinkers, often we say in the spiritual world that it is a block. It creates spiritual blocks within our chakras, within ourselves, to connecting to higher spirit.
Yep.
And then we look at the emotional toll that it takes on us, all the shame, all the guilt, all the anxiety, all the hiding, all of those things. And then along with the body, my body was affected from alcohol for years. And I was more of a binge drinker. Like every once in a while, I'd hold it together really well. And then I would binge drink, okay, or drink a whole lot in one evening and then be like, I'm never drinking again, and the whole thing. And so, but even years of that where I'm not, you may be saying I'm not having drinking. I'm not having 2 bottles of wine every night, right? But it takes a toll on our body. And so other things like stress and like even people pleasing and codependency and all those things, they cause a physical, a mental, emotional, a spiritual
taxing on our entire system.
Yeah.
The whole thing. We forget so often that we're not just a body.
Yeah.
We're not just a mind. Mm-hmm. We're not just a soul. We're all of these things. Yeah. And so to really come into a deep level of health is to work on all of these things, which is why incorporating Western medicine with traditional or holistic medicine or spiritual medicine can be so powerful. We just want to make sure that we're really allowing ourselves to come into a more well-rounded whole way of healing.
And the first steps in looking at how Western and traditional holistic medicine can really go together is looking at the areas that you need healing in within your own life.
Yes.
You have to identify those areas. For me,
and it would be good to like write them out.
Yeah,
like, write it down.
Literally write them down.
This is your action step.
Yes, here's your homework. So write out the areas. So for me, if I'm looking at myself as an example, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm in recovery for alcohol. Okay, so I need a support system, some people around that. So for me, I'd write out next to that I have AA, NA, my sponsor, okay, life coach, yada. And then we look at like, well, what physical stuff do I have going on? So then I look at my autoimmune conditions. and I look that I have a hereditary, risk of ovarian cancer, and I look at that I have a risk of heart disease from my family line. And so I'm like, okay, so I probably need somebody in the gynecological world just looking things over,
making sure we're taking care of
and
ourselves.
same with the cardiology world, okay? And then I need a primary care and a rheumatologist. These are all the things, these are the doctors that I need. And then I can look into, but what other ways, what holistic things? Am I working with someone where a nutritionist or someone else where I'm taking vitamins? Or am I, doing different supplements, or I take like spirulina and different stuff that 2 years ago I never heard of. I'm like taking sea algae and I'm like, yay!
Yay!
So it's looking at all of those things. And then the main thing is, and they talk about it in AA, is don't forget about your spiritual health.
Yep.
So write out your spiritual people, and we're not talking your best friend, your mom, your brother, your spouse. These are people outside of you and outside of the people that can really help you.
Yeah, that may look like a coach or a life coach.
Yeah.
It may look like a spiritual pastor or counselor. It may also look like a spiritual person like the Dalai Lama, where you want to just read their books and listen to their message and receive that into you. So you don't even have to necessarily know the person for them to be a healing presence for you.
And it's really good homework, because this is also, even if you already have a grouping of doctors and you have this and holistic practitioners, I invite you to rewrite your list for 2022.
Yeah.
What else could you add in? Are there any that you don't need anymore?
Yeah.
Sometimes we outgrow. I went to a therapist for a very long time. I went to multiple therapists. I outgrew a therapist for this time. And so, do you want to do that?
No, I don't. Just keep going.
Oh,
It's
just
fine.
keep going. Okay.
It's fine.
Honk, honk, honk.
We're at my office here in Kansas City, and there was a honking outside. And
Honkity honk horn.
life happens. Can't do anything about it.
It does.
Just gonna move right along.
Okay. So anyway, I guess Spirit really liked what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
like,
It was
yeah.
reimagine those things. So really look at your list and see, if you're going to take, like, if a therapist, maybe you've just done really well in the work and you're like, we've
come to a conclusion.
We've come to a conclusion. That's okay. Try a different therapist, do a
New
life
one.
coach, do,
take a break for a
someone else.
minute.
Yeah, you can take a break. All
And
those
also
things.
look at your list and some of the things that you need. And if you have somebody that's helping you with your heart, then look at and see if you can add in someone like an acupuncturist that could help you calm yourself, or a meditation practice, something that can also be supplemental to what you're already doing, that crosses and goes, okay, well, I have my Western medicine for this. What would a traditional or holistic medicine look like for this to support this area?
And just try it. And so when we're looking at those areas you need healing in, we're also looking at how can Western medicine help? How can traditional or holistic medicine help? And what does that look like overall? Now, I know a lot of people watching or hearing us talk about that, and they're like, okay, ladies, I don't have all the money in the world. I'm already paying this much in insurance. So there's a lot of, I know Cody's got some stuff to say on this in a second. So there's lots of things that you can try out. So oftentimes you can find at holistic fairs and different things that happen in your city, you can try an acupuncturist, or it's a lower price. You can try a tarot reader. You can try a Reiki healer, and
oftentimes there are stuff that's free.
Yeah.
There's yoga classes will often offer a certain day that's free, or a certain class that's free. I wandered into a class last Thursday that was free, and I didn't even know it.
Check out your local mosques.
Yep,
your temples, churches.
They often offer spiritual support or spiritual guidance. There's also always Sunday churches. Maybe you're not particularly religious, but you find a more open, kind of agnostic center that is open to many faiths. Find that, to have that be support if you can't afford something financially for the spiritual realm.
If you live in a city where there's a Hare Krishna temple, look on their website for the city you live in, and even if you've never been before, you're probably going to love it if you love meditation and Indian style food. So 1 day a week, every Hare Krishna temple in the U.S. has a free meditation like hour or so, and they do a free full dinner, vegetarian dinner for anyone. So look at these resources that are all around you.
Because there are a lot of resources. And then also on the other side of it, you know, I will also always lovingly challenge somebody that there are probably places in their life where they can afford what they think they can't.
Yeah.
Especially if they look at what are you spending your money on, and is it harming you or is it helping you? Because those, you know, Starbucks coffee every single day that costs $5 to $10, is it harming you or is it helping you? Because at the end of the week, you know, if you're spending $10 a day, that's almost $300 that you could put at least part of it towards something. Did I do that math right?
And I get it, because I was a single mom for quite some time, a few years.
She hired me.
I did. Now, did that mean that I had to work extra? And did I get full 2 days off a week? No, not every week it did. But I had to make decisions. I had to make really gut level decisions on, you know, if I make a sacrifice right now for this betterment of my physical, mental, emotional health, then in the future, I'm going to gain more.
And she has absolutely, like,
and I have.
Her goals when she set out a year ago, it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Were, you know, I want to have some money in my savings and I hope to one day have a house. Okay, well, she has a lot of money in her savings now, and she has her own house with an incredible partner that she is married to and loves, and is being able to raise her daughter in the way that she really wanted to.
Yeah. Now,
in less than a year.
And I'm also going to tell you that 2 years before that, when I was a single mom struggling to put food on the table and pay all the bills, was I able to spend a whole bunch of money in certain areas, like working with Cody? No, at that point I had to say no. I did go to some free seminars. I went to other stuff. I was still trying my best. Now, was I changing drastic things like stopping drinking? No. So we have to look at this really well-rounded approach like Cody was talking about. Because when her and I started working together, had I stopped drinking when we started working together?
You had just stopped.
I had just stopped. So 15 months it's been.
Yeah. You just stopped right before
I had just stopped. So see, guys, when I stopped that one behavior, I made that big life choice. Then all of a sudden I was able to make these other big life choices that really impacted my future. So it's this whole thing.
So I think what we're just trying to bring your attention is, don't let the money gremlins, the scarcity gremlins, be the thing that stops you from staying committed or being committed to trying a new way of looking at healing. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, and if you're in a spot where you feel that the money is a limitation, I really invite you to reach out to us privately. Mm-hmm. Reach out to us privately. Tell us what's going on, and that maybe you're wanting to hire these medical professionals, you're wanting to hire holistic professionals, but you just don't know where you would have the income coming in. Reach out to us.
And we'll help try and figure out how to support you. If we don't have the answer, then we may be able to point you in the direction. Because I know even on the Western medicine side with the medical community, there are certain aides and coordinators that actually help with the financial support of all of that. So there are options is what we're ultimately trying to say.
Because it can be scary to reach out sometimes.
Absolutely. So. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed this week's session diving into the difference between Western and traditional medicine. And we hope that you take some of those action steps and put them into your life. That's what this year's all about, is stepping in and stepping up.
So hit that like and subscribe button, follow us, share with your friends, and we will see you next week.
Our topic for next week that we're going to dive into is chronic pain and mental health from a spiritual perspective. So we're going to dive into a really close to our heart topic for a multitude of reasons. Mm-hmm. And we'll see you next week.
See you then. Bye, guys.
Bye.